Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are chapter number 9 and we are going to talk about routine, specifically daily routine. What do we do in our routine? Now before we delve into that, there's a little premise here, that's a grammar point we do need to discuss. That is, most of the verbs that we use to express routines, not all, but most of them are reflexive verbs. But what are reflexive verbs? Very simply, they indicate that I am performing an action and I am also the object to that action. In other words, just to give you an example, svegliare, svegliare, that is to wake up. But if I wake myself up, whether I do that naturally or through an alarm, that's irrelevant. If I wake myself up, then I would say io mi sveglio. Okay? Now, that doesn't work just for the person I. It doesn't work only for the first person. It works for everybody. And it means that that person or those people are doing an action where they are their own objects. In other words, it's like when in English you use myself, yourself, and all those pronouns, which we call reflexive. Now, potentially any verb could become reflexive, but we're just going to delve into the actual verbs that we need for routine. Also, even though most of them can become reflexive, some of them have no business ever being reflexive, okay? So the actual reflexivity is expressed by putting a pronoun before the verb. So if I say alzare, alzare by itself means to lift. For instance, when you lift something from the ground. But if I say alzarsi, that's the infinitive, but it's also reflexive. There's a simple way in which I transform verbs from being normal to being reflexive. That is, I drop the last vowel, meaning my e, your e, okay? And I add si, okay? So, alzare would become alzarsi. Svegliare would become svegliarsi. Also, if I want to say lavare, to wash, right? I could make that verb reflexive by simply having lavarsi, which is no longer to wash an external object, but it's to wash myself or oneself. So that's just the reflexive infinitive. But as you have seen earlier, when I said io mi sveglio, what we do is we have to conjugate the verb by putting a pronoun in front of the verb. Now, this pronoun changes according to the person. So for io, the pronoun would be me. So for instance, in the case of lavare, if I mean to wash myself, then that would be io mi lavo. If you wash yourself, tu ti lavi. So the reflexive pronoun here is ti. Lui, lei, si lava. He, she washes himself or herself. Noi ci laviamo. Ci meaning ourselves. Ci laviamo. Voi, you guys, voi vi lavate. And loro si lavano. They wash themselves. So, for io, the reflexive is me. For tu is ti. For lui or lei, that's si. For noi is ci. For voi is vi. And for loro is si again. Mi, ti, si. Ci, vi, si. These are the reflexive pronouns you do need to learn. Once you learn them, right, you can transform and conjugate every single verb into a reflexive verb, meaning that you are doing something to yourself. Examples: as I've mentioned, svegliare, all right? Svegliare would become svegliarsi. So, io mi sveglio. Example, io mi sveglio alle 7. I wake up at 7. Tu ti svegli alle 6. Noi ci svegliamo alle 6:30. Another example. Io mi alzo. Io mi alzo subito. I get up right away. Io mi alzo subito. Loro si alzano dopo un po'. Io mi lavo la faccia. I wash my face. So, if in English, when in English you put my face, my hands, my feet, my body, etc., in Italian, you just need the verb to be reflexive. You just need the verb to be reflexive. So, io mi lavo la faccia. Lui si lava le mani. And so on and so forth, we can move on. Some of the most important reflexive verbs have to do with routine. For instance, io mi preparo. Now the verb is preparare, preparare, to prepare, okay? But for myself, meaning I get dressed, I get changed, I put some makeup on, all of that, all right? That is prepararsi. It could also be that I study, and so that I review, study, prepare myself mentally for a situation, okay? Again, same verb, prepararsi, okay? So, io mi preparo per l'esame, okay? I prepare myself for the exam. But in daily routine, we prepare ourselves. We get changed, we wash ourselves, we put makeup on, etc. Loro si preparano in 5 minuti. They get ready, they prepare themselves, they get ready in 5 minutes. Who does that? I want to know. But anyway, loro si preparano in 5 minuti. Another verb that we're going to use is cambiarsi, to get changed, okay? Again, cambiare is the normal verb, so to speak. Cambiarsi is the infinitive. You still have to conjugate that, okay? So, tu ti cambi. Tu ti cambi. Noi ci cambiamo. Noi ci cambiamo velocemente. We get changed quickly. Noi ci cambiamo velocemente. Truccarsi. Truccarsi is another verb. Now, this is one of the most fascinating verbs to me because truccare means to tamper with, to rig. But truccarsi is to put makeup on your face, okay? So, io mi trucco. Lei si trucca molto. She puts a lot of makeup. Lui non si trucca. He does not put any makeup, okay? Again, another reflexive verb, truccarsi. Likewise, if I want to say to comb or brush my hair, okay? That's again another reflexive verb. The verb is spazzolarsi. Spazzolarsi, for to brush. The most used one is probably pettinarsi, okay? Io mi pettino I capelli. Io mi spazzolo I capelli. Lei si spazzola I capelli. Now, to brush, spazzolarsi, that works splendidly for hair. It doesn't work with teeth. We don't say that. We just say, I wash my teeth, okay? Io mi lavo I denti. Last one, I get dressed. Io mi vesto. Io mi vesto. The verb here is vestire, the normal verb. I will make that reflexive because I dress myself. So, io mi vesto. Noi ci vestiamo. Voi vi vestite. Voi vi vestite in modo, in a way, in modo elegante. Voi vi vestite in modo elegante. Alright, so now let's try together to create a small routine. With all of these verbs, we would need one more verb, okay? Because allegedly, when I wake up, I will start moving. Because presumably, once I wake up, I will start moving around, right? So I'll probably need another verb. This is not a reflexive verb. It's a verb extremely important for a variety of different reasons. That verb is andare. Andare means to go, okay? This is one of the most irregular verbs. So you would need to learn the conjugation entirely. There's no other way around this, okay? So andare, to go, io vado, tu vai, lui, lei, va. Let's repeat this first three persons here. Io vado, tu vai, lui, lei, va. Noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. Okay? Noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. So you see here a little bit that noi and voi are just a bit more regular, whereas all the other persons, they will start with va. Let's repeat one more time. All the conjugation. Io vado, tu vai, lui, lei, va. Noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. Now that we have all of these elements put together, we can start with our routine. So I will say, io mi sveglio alle 6:30. Io mi sveglio alle 6:30. Io mi alzo subito. I get up right away, immediately. Io mi alzo subito. Io vado in bagno. I go to the bathroom. Io vado in bagno. Lì, there, okay, lì, slightly upward with the tone, lì, mi lavo la faccia. There, I wash my face. Lì, mi lavo la faccia. Poi, then, poi vado in cucina. Poi vado in cucina. Mi preparo la colazione. Mi preparo la colazione. I prepare my breakfast. Okay? You could also say mi faccio la colazione. I make my breakfast. Mi faccio la colazione. Io mangio. I eat. Io mangio una tazza di latte e cereali. I prepare a tazza, a mug, of milk and cereals. Latte, milk. Cereali, cereals. Io mi preparo una tazza di latte e cereali. E bevo, and I drink, bevo un tè. Bevo un tè. Poi io vado in camera. Poi, then, vado in camera. I go to the room, meaning mostly the bedroom. Io mi cambio e mi vesto in modo elegante. Poi vado in bagno e mi pettino i capelli e mi trucco. There I go to the bathroom, I brush my hair and I put some makeup on. Poi inizio la giornata. I start my day. Inizio la giornata. Here, I'm using giornata, not giorno, because it's a long day ahead. Okay? So, io inizio la giornata. Io vado a lavoro. Io vado a lavoro. Io vado in ufficio. I go to the office. Then it depends what kind of job you have, right? You could say a variety of different things. Io vado a lavoro. Io vado in ufficio. To the office. Io vado in banca, etc. Io finisco di lavorare alle 7. I stop working at 7. Io finisco di lavorare alle 7. Io ritorno a casa. Io non guido. I don't drive. Quindi, very useful. Quindi, therefore, torno a piedi. Now, I may be an exception. If you drive, io guido. Guidare, to drive. Io guido per tornare a casa. Do not use shortcuts. We don't do that, okay? So there's no io guido a casa. That makes no sense to me in Italian. I would need to say io guido per andare or io guido per tornare. Io mi fermo. I stop myself. The verb here is fermare, to stop. Okay? I stop myself. That's specifically for people and cars, right? The verb is fermare. Io mi fermo al supermercato. I stop at the grocery. I stop at the supermarket. More properly, supermercato is supermarket. Io mi fermo al supermercato. Io faccio la spesa. I do the grocery. Ok? Faccio la spesa. Io torno a casa alle 8. Io mi cambio. Io ceno or faccio la cena. Dopo cena, after dinner, io guardo la televisione. Guardo la televisione e mi addormento. That's another reflexive verb we have not seen so far. Addormentarsi, to fall asleep. Io mi addormento. Io mi addormento. The verb is addormentarsi, and at this point you know how to conjugate that. So guys, remember, reflexive verbs are used for routine. They do not express movement, but only actions you do to yourselves. Specifically, you would use reflexive verbs to express daily routines, such as svegliarsi, alzarsi, cambiarsi, vestirsi, pettinarsi, lavarsi. You could add water. Okay? Lavarsi la faccia, le mani, I piedi, whatever you prefer. Okay? Prepararsi, that's another one, to prepare. Fermarsi, that's a weird but still very useful reflexive verb. Fermarsi. And lastly, addormentarsi. Remember also that you will need to conjugate these verbs, so you need the so-called reflexive pronouns. Mi, ti, si, ci, vi, si. That's in order. Io, mi, tu, ti, lui or lei, si, noi, ci, voi, vi, loro, si. Okay. Now, remember also that we have seen andare. Io vado, tu vai, lui, lei va, noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. Now, let's memorize and practice all of this, and we'll catch up next time. Ciao!